The ILX is a car that's fallen off a lot of people's radars over the last couple years. But for 2019, Acura is making sure you notice the ILX again, since it's back with very extensive styling upgrades, more standard equipment, and a price tag that makes it one of the most affordable luxury vehicles on the market. And of course, we do want to give a special thanks to our friends at Courtesy Acura here in Lexington for providing us with this ILX. And if you're in the market for any new Acura, be sure to stop by their dealership or check them out via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So at a starting price of only $25,000, let's see if the ILX is the best luxury bargain. So like always, we'll start off looking at the exterior styling, which, like I already said, has changed a lot this year. The ILX was the last remaining Acura with the old beak-style grille, but for 2019 it has been completely eliminated in favor of the new diamond pentagon grille. And to go along with that, the headlights, while still fully LED, have been redesigned with the newest jewel eye look, just like in the TLX. But one of the most important aspects of the refresh is that Acura has now added an A-Spec trim, which up front uses darkened chrome, black elements inside the headlights, and is the only version of the ILX to come with LED fog lights. Now coming to the side, this is the only part of the design that did not see any changes. But coming around to the rear, the changes have been just as extensive as in the front. Acura has reshaped all the body panels to have a more dynamic look, and in the process it's also moved the license plate from the trunk to the bumper. Additionally, we have new taillights, which are LED accented. Finally, all models do come with a rear diffuser and a single chrome exhaust tip. But overall, these 2019 changes make an absolutely massive difference. What was previously a pretty bland looking vehicle now has been transformed into something you'll notice on the streets for all the right reasons. Now moving on to the wheels, they have also changed this year. Most models will come with these 17-inch alloys, either silver finished on the base model or with this pewter gray contrast finish for both the premium and technology models. The only way to get 18s is to grab an A-Spec, which have a nice dark gray finish. Heading on up to the mirrors, they are power adjusting and heated across all models, and you will also find blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert on the premium. Additionally, like all Acura models, the ILX comes standard with their comprehensive suite of safety features. You have automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, and automatic high beam headlights. All of these things are features that the more expensive rivals still offer as options. And finally, the last thing to look at on the outside is the 13.2 gallon fuel tank. That's good for a fuel range of 370 miles, on recommended premium fuel, though it's not required. Well, that's it for all the changes on the outside. So now let's see if the interior has been updated just as much. So on the ILX, Acura does nicely include standard smart entry, as well as their really nice key fob that's got real metal down here at the bottom. Now it is the same as all other models, except you're missing the remote start feature, which I believe is missing from all of the trim levels. And then to get inside the vehicle, all you have to do is stick your hand behind the door handle, and it will unlock. So first, checking out the cabin of the refreshed ILX. The changes on the inside are definitely a lot less extreme than on the outside, but once you start digging around the details, you will notice plenty of differences. Now, one thing I'm really happy to report here is that only the very base model comes with leatherette, while all the rest of the models actually get a Milano leather. On that base model, your only choice is going to be black, but then when you get the premium or the technology, you also add the options of espresso or greystone. And then of course, if you get that new A-Spec trim, that's going to have the Alcantara inserts in the seat, and then you can also get the color option of red, which is really cool. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is nicely appointed. You have a leatherette material on the armrest and above it with stitching, and then all this area here is all soft touch. Your front two windows are one-touch automatic, and then so long as you get at least the premium model, you will have two-person memory seating. Now turning over here to the seat, it is 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar, and that's standard across the board. And of course, like I was just saying, you do have Milano leather here on the premium, so that's a really nice grade of leather, feels really soft, and you also have a really attractive stitching design with some piping as well. So like I was saying, a lot of the little details in this cabin have changed, and the materials have taken a step upwards. So across your upper dash, all of this area is soft touch plastic. And then moving down here to the middle, we do have some faux aluminum trim. A lot of the lower areas are hard touch. However, I will say that everything fits together really solidly in that typical Acura way. We do also have an aluminum push to start this year. Now what you're looking at is the upgraded 2-screen setup for the AcuraLink. If you do choose the very base model, this bottom screen will be eliminated, which is 7 inches, and then the 8-inch top display will be subbed in for a smaller one, looks to be about 5 inches. Now checking out the gauges here, they look the same as in your typical Acura. So you have 2 big analog gauges with really clear and legible font, and then you have a 4.2-inch multifunction display in the middle. This can cycle through all your standard affair information like your tire pressures, oil life, Bluetooth, different safety systems, and whatnot. Now coming back to the steering, of course it is electric power assisted. And Acura does nicely include this leather-wrapped wheel across all the trims. You do have your standard fare of buttons, like your audio, phone, and voice commands, and then on this side you have your controls for your standard adaptive cruise control. And back behind the shifter, I do want to mention you've got standard paddle shifters across all of the trims, not just the A-Spec. Now as far as the wheel itself, it is manually adjusting and heating is not available. But moving on to interior storage, the ILX actually has more than you would think for something this small. So coming over here to your center console, you press this button to open it up. Right now I've got my phone plugged in for Android Auto, which I'll get into in a minute, but taking that out, as you can see, it is pretty deep. You do have a nice carpeting down here at the bottom, and that is home to your USB port and aux jack. In front of that, you've got your 2 cup holders, and then you will find another small storage bin right here, definitely large enough though to fit a phone. Now checking out the shifter here, this is just a traditional shifter, so you just pull back to drive, then you can go back once more to activate the sport mode. And when you go into reverse, you'll find a nice looking backup camera standard across the board, though you will have to get at least the premium model to get the active trajectory. And it is also worth mentioning that there is no 360-degree camera available like on some other Acuras, but of course this is a very small vehicle, so you probably don't need it anyways. And for this model, you do also have a physical handbrake. Now located up here in front of the shifter, you will find your toggles for the 2-stage heated seats for both the driver and passenger, and that is standard equipment across all of the trims. There is no ventilation available. And then moving up here to the rest of the climate, you do have standard 2-zone automatic climate control. You just adjust it with these easy to use knobs, and you will see the temperature changes both here and there, so you don't have to change wherever you're looking at. And then everything else is located physically here, so there's no looking through menus or anything like that. But anyways, now that brings us up to the audio system. Now in this model, there are several different tiers for the audio. The base model is going to come with a 6-speaker setup. This premium has the middle setup, which is a premium 7-speaker audio system with a subwoofer. But then there is an ELS audio system if you choose the technology package. But anyways, let's go ahead and sample that middle audio system. Overall, this definitely doesn't sound like a cheap system, and I'm pretty sure you'll be satisfied with it. But anyways, now that brings us up to the AcuraLink system, which has been updated this year, so let's go ahead and get into that. So like I was just saying, this does get a updated AcuraLink system this year. It's obviously not the new touchpad controller that you have in the RDX, but it's the updated version that rolled out into the MDX a couple years ago. So what you get with that is basically a lot faster performance and updated graphics on the top and bottom screen. So we'll start off at the top screen here. This is the one that you control with this knob down here. And right now I've got Android Auto pulled up. That's the big feature of this car, is that you have both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So long as you get the bigger displays, then you'll have those features. So of course this works the same as in all other cars, and the biggest thing is that you have access to your Google Maps, so you can load that up. And as you can see when I zoom in here, we have Google Earth, the satellite view, so that's a really detailed map, really high quality, and it's just, especially good since we don't have integrated navigation on this car until you get up to the technology package. But heading back into the traditional Acura system, up here basically is a default of a status screen, and then you can switch to things like your phone, go into your phone book, and see things like that, and you can search down here on the keyboard. Now other features like your audio, those are contained down here on the secondary screen. This one is a touch display. As you can see, the graphics are a little different this year, and much faster performance. So you can play and pause your Bluetooth here, as well as change your sources. Now moving on up, you will find an auto dimming mirror on all but the base model, as well as your 3 universal remotes. Now one thing you will find on even the base model is a standard moonroof. That's really impressive. Most of the rivals make you pay extra for that, even in the class above this. But overall, I have to say, this is a nice cabin. While the design is not the most modern, like the RDX for example, I can certainly say that this car gives you a lot of bang for the buck. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who would check out all the rear areas.
Now in the back of the ILX, you're going to find a good amount of space for its class. You'll find 34 inches of rear legroom and 36 inches of rear headroom, which places it above the Mercedes CLA, but behind the Audi A3 and Honda Civic. Now turning over here to the door trim, Acura does finish it very nicely for a car like this. So you do have a leather wrapped armrest with some stitching details, as well as above it, and it does even go all the way over here. Now the top portion is also soft touch plastic, and it does have a nice silver door handle. Your rear window is power. And turning over here to the seat is that same Milano leather. And like I said, I am a really big fan of this stitching pattern, and it is also perforated here in the middle. Now here in the center, Acura doesn't really give you any features. You also are missing the rear vents, but they do give you a nice armrest, and it does fold down. It's really nicely leather wrapped, and it has some cup holders in the end. Now up top we do have some dome lighting, as well as a really premium feeling headliner, an assist grip, and a coat hook. Now this is with the seat scooted all the way back, and with it all the way back I have probably an inch of leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. So this is actually a pretty good sized offering for the class. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble fitting 4 adults back here. But overall, I really like the ILX's rear seat. It would have been nice if they could have thrown in some rear vents, but it really nails what you're really looking for, which is to be spacious and comfortable back here. Now coming around to the trunk of the ILX, since it does have that sleek design, you don't have a lip to push the button, so it is located here in the taillight. You can see it right here. Just push that and it pops right open. Now inside you're going to find 12.4 cubic feet of space, which is larger than most of its rivals. It's larger than the Mercedes CLA and Audi A3. Now it is less than the Honda Civic, but Acura does finish it very nicely back here. And you do also have folding seats if you want more space. And down below the floor, you will also find a fix-a-flat kit. The passenger seat is a beautiful design. Love the stitching details, and it is also 4-way power adjusting on the premium and tech models. Now in front of the passenger, the materials are really nice. So you do have a padded dashboard, as well as some silver trim. And down below that, you do have a really good sized glove box, and it is also very nicely felt lined. Now up top we do have a sun visor with a mirror and light, and it does also detach and extend. But anyway guys, that sums up all I'm going to talk about up here. So now let's go ahead and get to the powertrain and do a quick test drive. So under the hood of the 2019 ILX, you're going to find a very simple powertrain setup. You have a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, it's naturally aspirated, and it comes in at 201 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. Now it is paired to an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and it is front-wheel drive only, there is no all-wheel drive option. Now with that said, obviously there is only one fuel economy then, so it is rated at 24 city, 34 highway, 28 combined. And that is pretty much it. So now let's go ahead and take it on a quick test drive. So initially taking off here in the ILX, I will say power feels pretty good.
you know, for a vehicle this small, 201 horsepower is certainly a good number, and right in line with what the rivals offer. While we're at a stop here, I will mention you don't have auto start stop on this model. I know a lot of you, probably more of you actually, view it as a con, so I don't know.
That might be a better setup than not having the option to deactivate it if you don't like it, because a lot of brands do that.
Exactly. As you might be able to tell, this road is
Extremely
really
rough.
quite rough and poorly maintained, and ILX is handling it quite well. So we just rounded a little corner there. Definitely commend Acura on the handling. This is of course a small vehicle, and it does have that nice small agile feel to it. They have nicely tuned the steering.
Yeah, in a car this small, it's very tossable. I mean, it has small exterior dimensions, and I'm sure that reflects in its driving dynamics.
Now, of course, you know, this is a city vehicle, and it is indeed small in footprint. It definitely feels very maneuverable going around a parking lot, for example. You know, that's a lot of the reasons why people get these small luxury vehicles. Now, the dual clutch automatic transmission that Acura, this is developed in-house by Acura, is really impressive to me. It's incredibly smooth. I don't think the average person would have any idea that this is a dual clutch automatic transmission. Wouldn't you say?
You're good. And no, seriously, if I hadn't read the sheet, I definitely would not have noticed that this is a dual clutch. Normally you can, you know, definitely feel that maybe a little something's off or whatever, but
maybe a little hesitation, but
no, the average person is not going to notice the difference.
Nothing here at all. This is definitely as smooth as a traditional automatic.
And that is very impressive.
So we'll go into the manual mode and see how much you benefit from that. Yeah, Acura definitely gives you that nice full control over the manual mode. You know, that's one of the things that comes along with the benefits with having a dual clutch. So it's pretty cool that you get kind of the benefits, the fun of the dual clutch, but you don't have any of the drawbacks here.
And now that we're back on this really rough road, I do want to talk briefly about how smooth this car rides. It's very quiet inside the cabin. You can, of course, hear a little bit of engine noise. But as we briefly mentioned earlier, when you hit a bump, it really doesn't transfer into the cabin. Acura has done a really good job for a small vehicle of making this ride very refined. But
overall, the ILX drives pretty nicely. you know, this is, as we discussed previously, this is a very affordable vehicle, really, period, for any type of car, much less a luxury vehicle. And for that, you would expect that there would be like a lot of things cut and stuff on Acura's end to save money, and really I don't feel that in the driving experience.
And as far as the pricing comes in for the 2019 ILX, it is a very attractive pricing scale. So with the very base model, its base MSRP is $25,900, and then there is a $995 destination charge.
So that's one of the most affordable luxury vehicles that you can buy, for
yes,
sure.
It's not even one of those like $29,900 cars. It's $25,000 is its starting price. And then moving up the trims, you have the Premium, which is what we have here, and that model starts at $27,650, and then the technology package builds upon the Premium, and then that starts at $29,500. And then if you opt for the A-Spec, which is the sporty version of this car, you can also option for the Premium and Tech trims, and those go $29,600 or $31,500.
Right, and it is worth mentioning that the package structure, it's a significant price drop from last year.
Yes.
So you're looking at a $2,500 reduction on your base trim, and then at the top end level, the $31,500 that he said, that is a $3,500 price reduction from 2018. So definitely Acura has adopted a very aggressive and value-oriented proposition with this product.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth looks at the 2019 Acura ILX Premium. Stay watching for a quick overview of the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.